She smiles when everyone is watching. She answers every question, fixes every problem, remembers every little detail that keeps the house running. From the outside, everything looks normal, even perfect. But what if that smile isn't the full story? What if behind the routine, behind the care, behind the constant giving, there are thoughts she has never said out loud, not because she doesn't want to, but because she can't. Because the moment she says them, everything changes. And the truth is, there are moments in a mother's life where she feels overwhelmed, invisible, and completely alone, even in a house full of people. The real question is, how far can those silent feelings go before they start changing her decisions and her life? This is something most people never notice. We see the effort, but we don't see the pressure behind it. We hear the words she says, but we don't hear the ones she holds back. And over time, those unspoken emotions don't just disappear. They build up, slowly, quietly, layer by layer. A little exhaustion here, a little disappointment there, a moment of feeling unappreciated, another moment of feeling disconnected. And without realizing it, what starts as small, silent thoughts can grow into something much heavier. Something that begins to affect how she feels about herself, about her relationships, about everything around her. In today's world, especially with busy routines and constant responsibilities, many mothers are carrying more than they ever show. They are expected to be strong, patient, present, and perfect, all at the same time. But no one really talks about what happens when that pressure doesn't have an outlet, when there's no space to express what's really going on inside. And sometimes, it's not about big dramatic events. It's about the quiet moments, the late nights, the thoughts that come when everything is finally still. The kind of thoughts that make you question things you never thought you would question. And this is where the story starts to shift. Because when emotions stay hidden for too long, they don't just stay feelings, they start influencing choices. Small changes at first, subtle differences in behavior, things that might not seem important in the moment, but later they connect into something much bigger, something that can impact not just her, but everyone around her. And the most surprising part is, most of it happens silently. No one sees it coming. By the end of this video, you're going to understand a side of motherhood that is rarely talked about, but deeply real. Not just the love and sacrifice, but the internal battles, the unspoken thoughts, and the moments that can quietly change everything. Because sometimes, the most important things are the ones that are never said. She wakes up before everyone else, not because she wants to, but because she has to. The day starts before the sun, and somehow, it never really ends. There's always something pending. Lunch to prepare, clothes to manage, schedules to remember, small needs to fulfill before they even turn into requests. And the strange part is, no one really notices how much thought goes into everything. It just happens, like it's supposed to, like it's expected. Over time, this constant responsibility doesn't just stay physical, it becomes mental. Even when she sits down, her mind doesn't. It keeps running, planning, calculating, worrying. And slowly, without saying a word, she starts feeling tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. But she doesn't complain, because in her mind, this is her role. This is what she's supposed to do. Still, somewhere deep inside, a quiet thought begins to form. Does anyone see how much I'm doing? There was a time when her life looked different. Before the routines, before the constant responsibilities, before everything started revolving around others. She had her own plans, her own interests, things that made her feel like herself. And now, when she looks back, it doesn't feel like those things disappeared overnight. It happened slowly. One compromise at a time, one responsibility replacing another. And now, even when she tries to think about what she wants, the answer isn't clear anymore. Not because she doesn't have desires, but because she hasn't had the space to think about them in so long. This creates a strange kind of emptiness. She loves her family deeply, but at the same time, she misses a version of herself that no one else even remembers. And that feeling is something she never says out loud. At home, everything looks normal. Conversations happen, routines continue, responsibilities are shared, at least on the surface. But emotionally, something feels off. The connection that once felt natural now feels distant. Words are exchanged, but understanding is missing. She tries to express herself sometimes, but it doesn't come out the way she feels it. Or maybe it does, and still, it doesn't land. Over time, she stops trying as much, not because she doesn't care, but because repeating the same feeling without being heard becomes exhausting. And this is where loneliness starts to grow. Not the kind where you're physically alone, but the kind where you feel unseen, even when someone is right next to you. And when that emotional gap stays there for too long, it creates space. Space for thoughts, for doubts, for things that wouldn't have existed otherwise. And sometimes, all it takes is one moment, one conversation, one person who listens a little more closely than others, someone who notices what others have overlooked. At first, it feels harmless, just talking, just being heard, nothing serious. But emotions don't always follow logic. What starts as comfort can slowly turn into attachment, not because she planned it, not because she wanted to hurt anyone, but because for the first time in a long time, she feels understood. And that feeling can be powerful. Powerful enough to blur lines, powerful enough to make her ignore the consequences, at least in the beginning. And by the time she realizes how far things have gone, it's no longer simple. Reality doesn't stay hidden forever. At some point, everything catches up. The emotions, the decisions, the changes, it all starts to show. And with that comes a wave of realization that's hard to escape. The same feelings that once felt like relief now start to feel heavy. Guilt begins to replace comfort. Questions replace certainty. And the impact isn't limited to her alone. It spreads into the family, into relationships, into the environment she once worked so hard to keep stable. And in that moment, she's forced to face something she never thought she would. Not just what happened, but why it happened. Because deep down, it was never about a single decision. It was about everything that led up to it. And even after everything, one truth remains unchanged. She still cares. She still loves. She still wants things to be okay. But now, there's a weight attached to everything she feels. A quiet understanding that some things, once changed, don't fully go back. And maybe the most important part of all this is not judgment, but awareness. Because these stories don't begin with big moments. They begin with small, silent feelings that go unnoticed. And sometimes, all it takes to change the ending is to notice those feelings before they turn into something more. And when everything settles, when the noise fades and the reality becomes clear, what's left is not just the outcome, but the understanding of how it all unfolded. Because the truth is, nothing like this ever starts suddenly. It builds quietly in moments no one pays attention to, in feelings that are dismissed, in words that are never said, in emotions that are pushed aside again and again. And by the time it becomes visible, it's already been growing for a long time. Maybe the most important thing to realize is this: behind every strong, caring, always present mother, there is still a human being who needs to be heard, understood, and valued. Not just for what she does, but for what she feels. Because when those feelings are ignored, They don't disappear. They change shape. They find other ways to exist. And sometimes those ways are not what anyone expects. This isn't about blame. It's not about pointing fingers or deciding who was right and who was wrong. It's about seeing what usually goes unseen. It's about understanding that silence can carry more weight than words, and that the strongest people are not the ones who never struggle, but the ones who keep going, even when no one notices what they're carrying inside. So maybe, the next time you see that smile, you pause for a second. You look a little deeper. You listen a little more carefully. Because sometimes, the most important conversations are the ones that never happen, and the most important feelings are the ones that are never spoken. And if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's simple. Don't wait for things to break before you start paying attention. Because understanding, appreciation, and a little bit of real connection can change everything long before it's too late.